Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So I don't have to tell you that communication is so key in so many areas, whether you're working and communicating with clients, your boss, even your personal relationships. Of course, your marriage, your partner. Communication is key. Communication actually extends deeper than that. I never realized how deep, even to the point of when you communicate with yourself. And she's going to help us with that. She actually does help you communicate with yourself on a subconscious level through hypnotherapy and helps you heal in many different ways once you make that communication connection. And she is Dawn Torkelson, and she's back with us. Hey, Dawn, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you.
Nice to communicate with you again.
It is.
And that's just one form of communication, but we're going to go layers deeper today in really exposing different types of communication that you might not have thought of, and maybe how to make that communication or those types of communication even more effective, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, one thing that I do teach at Advanced Life Coaching, and that I like, probably the most important thing that I really like to work with my clients with, is understanding what communication really is. I mean, most people believe that it's how you speak or interact with others. And although that's true, that's only a part of communication. Um, Communication is actually not just words. You have nonverbal communication. You also have music and art and dance and stories, books. That's written communication. And the one thing that all these have in common, the one common denominator, is actually your imagination. Because before any communication starts, it starts with a thought. It starts in your imagination. Maybe you want to communicate, like you were saying, with a coworker. You might think of the conversation you want to have with them in your head before you actually go and have that conversation. So you've kind of in your own mind thought about what you wanted to say, how you wanted to say it, and you may have even considered different reactions that this person might have, so that you can think of how you want to respond when they react. And that's actually a really powerful tool in communication, is if you get to that point of your own self-awareness where you can do that, you really have more control over that conversation. And a lot of people don't think about that. They don't think, they might get upset about something and react without spending the time to think, what kind of outcome do I want? Like, what do I really want to convey to this other person?
I do it all the time. And I don't even know I'm doing it many times, but like, for example, I'm going to a tasting event fundraiser this evening, and I've already scoped it out of my mind. I've already thought of the people that are going to be there. I've already thought, I know the venue, so I know the vibe that's going to be there. I know what I'm going to wear. And it's not like super upscale or anything, but want to look presentable, but I want to look over the top, and the conversations that I might have. So I've already played it in my mind. Now it's going to vary, of course, but I feel more comfortable in my communication with people because I've already been there. And I think you would agree, with our subconscious, we always want to feel familiar. It always goes back to the things that we're comfortable and familiar with, whether you've been to an event or not. In my mind, I've already been there. So I feel like I've got a better grip on it. Same thing like you said, when you have a conversation with somebody, what are they going to say? And how are you going to react to it? Of course, you're going to listen to them, but at least you feel better prepared for it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, well, to me, it makes perfect sense.
I guess I'm communicating effectively.
Yes, you are. Which really is the point. The whole point is you want to learn how to communicate effectively. And like I said, it's not just communication with someone else, it also works with communication with yourself. Like in your scenario, you were communicating with yourself, hey, I can feel confident in this environment because your subconscious mind doesn't know reality from fantasy. So you've already put yourself in that position where you've already walked through this wine tasting and you've said hello to people and you're feeling relaxed. And when you do that, like I said, you can, if you were a dancer or a magician or a musician or a speaker, anything where you're going to be on stage and perform in front of others, you would probably do the same thing. You know, athletes, performers, they all do that. They imagine hitting that three-pointer. They imagine,
Yeah.
doing that home run. They imagine, in their mind going over their dance routine or their lines, or even if you're in school, you might imagine getting an A and you sit there and you study and you're like, I know this. And that's all part of a communication with yourself where you're getting your mind ready to do this act, to take the action, knowing that you are already prepared to do it, knowing that you're confident, knowing that, your mind thinks, oh, I've already done this. So easy breezy. Nothing to be afraid of.
Would you say it's somewhat a form of manifestation?
It is. It is a form of manifestation because with manifestation, you envision what you want. And for manifestations to work, you have to throw that element of feeling into it. So not only do you, for example, let's say you want to get a new car and you're thinking about this new car and you're imagining driving it down the road and how great that feels, and what are the details? Is it a convertible? Does it have a sunroof? Does it not? Like, how does it feel? Are the seats comfy? Are they leather? Are they cloth? You imagine all this. And once you imagine it, it becomes more real to you.
Yep.
So that way, maybe you're driving down the road and you notice that car dealership that has that model or that car in it, or maybe you notice other cars on the road. The great thing about when you start to manifest like that, or when you start envisioning with the emotion like that, is it also builds better communication.
Hmm.
So you start thinking outside the box. So maybe you're like, wow, I want to get more information on this car. I want to find out what's the maintenance on this car? How much will it cost to tax it if I purchase this car? You start thinking, how can I get this car? What steps do I have to take? What do I have to do to finance or, to be financially able to get this car, you
Hmm.
know? And when you start doing that and you start communicating with other people, asking these questions, gathering this information, you might also change your mind. You might be like, you know what? Maybe I want to look at something similar to this car, So it really helps you to make a plan and come up with a way that you can get what you want. And you were manifesting it, whether you manifest something similar because you get more information and realize this is better than that, or you manifest exactly what you wanted, and that's the same as like not a car that's so predictable, but like if you're manifesting a new job opportunity or you're manifesting a new relationship into your life. You might not get every single detail you wanted, but you're more open to the flexibility of what's out there.
I've often heard that too, especially if you're trying to manifest the perfect partner. Don't go into deeper detail like, oh, it's got to be somebody that has dark hair, blue eyes. This is what I'm looking for. I need this. No, go with things like it's somebody who supports me, is authentic, who is honest. I'm attracted to. I can see myself having fun with this person. They like to do day trips. I like doing that. Don't get so caught up in the details because it might change and you might miss out on the great opportunity because you limited yourself in that manifestation.
Right, because you limited yourself. You met and found the perfect person, but you don't that's self-sabotage. You find the
Mm.
perfect person, but they have hazel eyes instead of blue eyes. So you're like, "Oh yeah, they don't check that on the box." Well, then you have back to communication. Now you have to ask yourself, why is it so important that they have that perfect colored eyes? Is it because it gives me a chance to eliminate the right person? And if that is, why? What am I so afraid of? What is it about a relationship that I am afraid of? Is it that I'm afraid someone's going to hurt me? Or is it I haven't dealt with past hurt, right? Exactly,
I,
So
I have all these theories. I'm making all these hypotheticals up in my mind, but because my last relationship, that person had hazel eyes, and it's got to be hazel eyes. Or, one of my parents had hazel eyes. I'm not saying you're even aware of these things. Why are you fixated on a certain eye color in a relationship? Because it's things from your past that needs to be uncovered and worked on through things like hypnotherapy.
Right. And it probably has nothing to do with eye color. Like you said, maybe that eye color reminds you of your grandma who you love so much. So start focusing, what were the qualities that you loved, and focus on finding those qualities versus the eye color. But the eye color was just something that you remembered, or that connected you to
Yeah.
that memory. So and this all goes to really back to communicating with yourself.
Yeah.
And it also goes back to that imagination, because again, when you're remembering the grandmother, you are using your mind's eye. You're making a picture in your head. You might be pulling up a picture you remember, but you're still using your imagination, to pull that picture up. And so for that reason, it's great that we have imagination. But Neville, I
Goddard.
always say his name
Goddard.
wrong. Goddard, that's it. Neville Goddard and Einstein, they both really prize imagination. And both of them have a lot of information out there on their theories of how imagination really is the seed to you taking control of your own life. And with hypnosis and learning about proper communication, you can actually understand that with every thought you have a physical response in your body.
Hmm.
And that physical response
Hmm.
is basically an emotion. So whether the emotions on a cellular level, which is maybe creating disease in the body, or it's on a reaction level where you're reacting to this emotion, every thought you have is doing something on a physical plane. And Neville Goddard, he actually had a breakdown for this, where like the highest energy is energy, and then it goes down, and it goes to awareness, and then consciousness, and then to the
Huh.
mind, and then the body. So it's kind of like it starts there and it filters down. So when you want to start healing, whether you want to heal the mind, the body, the consciousness, you have to kind of start with that energy, and that's filtering down. And then that also goes to communication, because when you're feeling some sort of way and you try to tell someone about it, are you in control of that emotion enough that you can talk about what you're feeling, that you can, relay this information to someone without being so reactive? Like if you're angry, you don't want to be screaming at someone and think you're going to get the result you want, versus,
Hmm.
if you're feeling really happy and you go to someone and you're really excited about something, they kind of feed into that excitement too. And next thing you know, you can get them excited with you.
I'm going to share something about this event I'm going to tonight that is totally in the line with communication
Okay.
and visualization. So I'm trying to make this very short, but I work with somebody that's going to be there, and there was a miscommunication, mostly on their part. I'll take blame for anything. And call it like a 70% on them, 30 on them that impacted a client. And I just found out yesterday, and they're going to be there tonight. And he's a great guy, but at first when I saw it, I'm like, the email and, realized that something went awry. I was like, really? You know, he just, he reacted when he shouldn't have he should have asked questions. And it's all good. It's going to get resolved. We're all good. But I've already thought in my mind, now there's a communication issue that went wrong. And I've already thought in my mind how I'm going to communicate with him tonight. There's no hard feelings. It is all good. But how am I going to approach him? I'm going to smile, shake his hand. It's all good. But I wanted to be prepared for that because I didn't want it, to be negative or anything like that in front of him. And I'm not. It's all good now. But I visualized it because I wanted to turn the best possible outcome.
Right. And that's the best, actually, that's the best thing you can do. Like I will tell clients, if you're upset about something or there was a miscommunication or, sometimes it's best just to take a moment away,
Yeah.
take a walk, go outside, take a walk, take some time apart so you can think about it. But when you think about it, really envision what result do you want? And how are you going to get that result? If calling somebody names, will that get you the result you want? And if it does, then you're looking for a negative outcome. And if you're looking for a negative outcome, you
Mm.
might as well just say, walk into the office and say, you know what? I can't work in this environment. Bye. And, instead of self-sabotaging yourself and creating like a negative name for yourself or, doing something that reflects poorly on you, if you really want a negative outcome, just, I would say the best way to avoid that is you like, if you went and yelled at someone and cursed at them and were angry, and this person's result was you got fired. If your outcome is to leave that place, just leave. Don't wait to, you don't have to create that environment to
Yeah.
get fired, unless of course, the result is you want to get fired for whatever reason. But just remember, if you get fired and you can't get, another job because you have this bad recommendation, that's a
Exactly.
consequence.
Your integrity is everything, and your
Yeah.
integrity comes from communication.
Yes.
Essentially,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly. So it's really opening up to basically back to awareness, you know, and and no matter what, it's whatever situation you're in, it's going to boil down to your awareness, and a lot of people want to blame, oh, well, I reacted this way because this event happened, or I was angry, or I was jealous, so I accused you of this, and that. And it's like, okay, well, you weren't in control of your emotion. And we see that in our news articles and stuff now, where people go and they beat up someone, or they do something, a lot more, more dangerous,
mhm.
or whatever goes on. And and it's like, really, where is the core of this problem? Is the problem the fact that somebody got you mad? Or is the real problem the fact, not that you were upset about it, but how you reacted, right?
It's key. It's key.
Yeah,
And that's why you should, what you said, and I love it that people don't talk about it enough. Visualize how it's going to go
right.
because you'll know. You can change, you can make a, pivot a different way if you think it out in your mind. Well, I'm going to say this to that person, and then what are they going to say? And then you'll be better prepared for it. The
Yeah,
communication with your subconscious is that's what you do. You make those connections. And kind of that's the baseline for everything that we're talking about. Because
yeah,
if you're angry at somebody at work, why did you react that way?
right. Yeah,
What
why
do you
did you
think?
react that way? Did it trigger
Yeah.
your, maybe a time when a parent disrespected you, or somebody
Yes.
else didn't listen to you, or a sibling that always took credit for your work, or like
Uh,
what is it, that's really the underlying problem. And the underlying problem usually does come from either a buried or hidden emotion, and like I said earlier, you could be into music, or you could be a painter, and that's communication. Look at how paintings make you feel. You can look at one painting and
well, hmm.
maybe you see anger in that painting. You look at another painting and it relaxes you, and you just see tranquility in this painting. So what was the artist feeling? What are they trying to convey to the world through this art? And you have to think, we are all pieces of art, we were created just to be this magnificent being. We are energetic. And what comes in, and if you look at that scale I gave you from energy down to physical, how are we using this energy? An artist, a musician is making beautiful music or art with it. What are you doing with your sense of being
Wow.
to
I
show this energy that you have inside you? And if you're showing negative or anger energy, you have to figure out, is this the energy that I was created to show the world? Versus if maybe you spend your energy, helping others. Well, excellent. It, is this the energy you want to show the world? That's kind of the question you have to ask yourself. And all this comes out in communication, whether that's why I love journaling.
uh,
It's a form of written communication.
to yourself.
Yes,
No,
and you can get some feelings out where maybe you're not comfortable telling somebody how you feel. You can tell yourself, and you can work it out within.
nobody is going to see it unless you want them to see your journal. You're communicating
Yes,
with yourself. And just final thought, and you put this thought in my mind on that when you look at a painting, if you believe that everything is energy, that the artist conveyed energy to the painting. Energy knows no time and space, so it could be a painting from Van Gogh.
exactly. Why do you think they've been around so long and people value them? Because they value how it makes them feel. And
Do you
if you
think it
want
is?
people in your life to value you, they have to value how you make them feel.
And it's always been said many times, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you made somebody feel.
Right. And how do you make yourself feel?
Yeah.
With your own thoughts and words? Are you sitting around being depressed? Are you making yourself feel depressed because you're picking out everything that you think can go wrong in life? Or are you choosing to change those thoughts and make yourself feel good no matter what else is going on in your life? And that's where the power comes in. That's where the power of communication comes in.
Yeah.
That's when you really control your own destiny in your own life.
We can do all of this stuff in terms of communication. The one thing we can't do is completely communicate with our subconscious. And that's where you come in. We can't. You
Yeah.
can, maybe you can self-hypnotize yourself to a point, but you're not going to get as deep as with somebody. And of course, you got to be trained to do that, to really do it
Right.
right.
Yeah.
You're not going to go as deep as you're going to go to kind of weed out those things in your mind. How do we reach you, Dawn? How do we find you?
Well, okay, my website is advancedlifecoaching.org. You can always call at 702-266-1132. And my email is positivenlp@gmail.com.
Yeah, we didn't even
So
get into the NLP, which is neuro linguistic.
neuro programming. And that actually is it's it's the study of communication, which actually comes from Einstein and Neville Goddard and just all this research that we have out there that's kind of just been put together.
By the way, I love the painting or your background.
Thank you.
Um,
It's a Monet.
is it really?
Yeah,
Seriously so?
yeah,
I didn't even know. Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's just It reminds me of cherry blossom trees, which I'm in the Northeast and they're just finished blossoming. But yeah, it's like bright, positive.
Or
And so
is it a Van Gogh? I think it's a Monet.
I'm the worst like that, and I love art, and I don't care
I
if
know, me too.
I don't care if it's little 4-year-old Jimmy. If it makes you feel good in terms of the work,
Right?
doesn't matter who did it.
Exactly.
Always great talking with you. I'm sorry. Always great communicating with you. And
Always great communicating with you.
and I look forward next time we get a chance to talk.
Yes, definitely. I
Thanks a
can
lot.
look forward to it too. Thank
Same.
you.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.